Great. Good morning. The March 4th, 2020 meeting of the Board of Estimates is now called to order. Before I go any further, I would like to take this moment to welcome our newest board member, our acting city solicitor, Dana Moore, to the board. Today, as a part of Women's History Month, is making history as the first female city solicitor in Baltimore. First female city solicitor sit on this board, obviously 120 years too late, but we thank you, ma'am, for being a trailblazer and creating history here in Baltimore City. Now, in the interest of promoting the order and efficiency of these hearings, persons who are disruptive to the hearing will be asked to leave the hearing room. Meetings of the Board of Estimates are open to the public for the duration of the meeting. The hearing room must be vacated at the conclusion of the meeting. Failure to comply may result in a charge of trespassing. Madam Deputy Comptroller, are there any corrections, additions, or deferrals on the agenda?
Good morning. For today's agenda, we have a correction on page 45 under action requested. Beginning on line 1, the last word continuing on line 2, please delete retiree benefit trust and insert instead employees retirement system. On the 4th line after ERS, please delete other post-employment benefits OPEB. I will read that sentence in its entirety now with the correction. The board is requested by the Board of Trustees of the Employees Retirement System of Baltimore City to approve and authorize execution of the BlackRock Master Subscription Agreement, BlackRock, for the ERS Investment in Global Energy and Power Infrastructure Fund 3, GEPIF 3, period. In addition, the board did receive additional protest information for page 86, items number 1 and 2, which is on the non-routine agenda. A supplemental protest was received on behalf of American Contracting. In addition, a request for deferral was received on behalf of American Contracting and Environmental Services, Inc. A response to the bid protest was received by Corman Kokoskin Construction Company. We have one item that is being deferred, and that's pages 98 to 94, item number 4, for 2 weeks. I'm sorry, 98 to 99, thank you, item number 4 for 2 weeks. Remaining on the non-routine agenda are pages 86, item 1, and item number 2. I have the following abstentions to report. For the Honorable Mayor Young, he's abstaining on pages 30 to 31, pages 32 to 33, pages 54 to 55, item numbers 11, 12, and 13. For the Honorable President Scott, he's abstaining on pages 54 to 55, item numbers 11, 12, and 13. The Honorable Comptroller Pratt is abstaining on page 25, item number 5, page 45, and page 46. The Acting City Solicitor, Dana Moore, is abstaining on pages 54 to 55, items number 12 and 13, page 51, item number 5, page 104 to 105, item number 10, and pages 112 to 113. The Acting Director of Public Works, Mr. Matthew Garbach, is abstaining on page 25, item number 6, and page 26, item number 7. And again, the items that remain on the non-routine agenda are pages 86, item numbers 1 and 2. Mr. President, members of the board, that is the correction, the deferral, as well as the additional information received for the protest on pages 86, items number 1 and 2, as well as the abstentions that have been reported thus far. Thank you.
Thank you. I would direct the board members' attention to the memorandum from my office dated March 2nd, 2020, identifying matters to be considered as routine agenda items together with any corrections and additions that have been noted by the Deputy Comptroller. I will entertain a motion to approve all the items contained on the routine agenda.
Before I make that motion, I want to withdraw my recusal for items 12 and 13, pages 54 to 55. I will vote on those, and with that, I move approval of all items on the non-routine agenda.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. The motion,
It's a routine agenda.
Pardon me.
Did I say non-routine? I've done that before.
You said, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I'll
Let me,
accept the motion.
yeah, friendly amendment.
Yep.
I move approval of all items on the routine agenda.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. The motion carries. The routine agenda items have been adopted. The first item on the non-routine agenda can be found on page 86, items 1 to 2. Department of Public Works, Office of Engineering and Construction, CDC 7794, Colgate Stormwater Pumping Station upgrade, and the transfer of funds. We have received a protest on this item. Will the parties please come forward? Ma'am, state your name for the record, please, and pull the microphone up.
To the members of the board, good morning. My name is Tenora Houston Burgee. I am the chief.
Speak up just a little more.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I am the chief of contract administration for the Department of Public Works. Today, the agency would like to recommend the award of the stormwater contract 7794, Colgate Stormwater Pumping Station upgrades to Corman Cocosine Construction Company. 5 bids were received, and after completing the bid analysis reviewed, it was determined that Corman Cocosine Construction Company was the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. American Contract Environmental Services was listed as the second lowest bidder. To help answer any questions you may have, I have with me Ms. Dina Joyce. She is the chief of boards and commissions, and Michael Mullen of the law department.
All right. Protest. Please come forward. State your name for the record.
Morning, Mr. President, Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jeremy Schultes from Miles and Stockbridge on behalf of American Contracting Environmental Services, and with me today is the president of American, Mr. Joe Godin.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is
Pull the mic up, please. Thank you. There we
Mark
go.
Berry, counsel for Corman Cocosine, here on behalf of the recommended awardee. And I'm here today with Ryan Gorman with Corman Cocosine as well.
Ryan Nelson with Corman Cocosine.
All right. You first, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, this really boils down to 2 simple points. One being there was not sufficient pre-qualified work capacity rating at the time of bid from Corman Cocosine. In our May 17th, 2019 protest, we raised this point that at time of bid submission, Corman didn't have sufficient work capacity rating, and that was borne out really in the fall of 2019 when Corman Cocosine went to its parent company, Cocosine, to secure a blanket guarantee in the amount of $500 million, which was 10 times the amount of the then existing work capacity rating of $50 million, which was also underwritten by Cocosine. On February 25th, we submitted our supplemental request, which followed the city's approval and this board's approval of the $500 million guarantee. And the basis in our supplemental protest was that Cocosine has approximately $3.9 billion of work. Now, we don't know exactly what the backlog is there, but Cocosine Companies, the family of companies, consists of 6 or 8 different companies, one of which is Corman Cocosine. It's our position that based on open source reporting that we've looked at, that American has looked at, there's far in excess of backlog at Cocosine, and we think a $500 million guarantee is probably not supported certainly not supported by our open source reporting. Now, we would expect that Kokosing submitted an audited financial statement with all the supporting income statements and balance reports and the like, and that OBC ostensibly followed the city's rules in approving that. But we would note that in the rules, one, Kokosing underwriting this blanket guarantee must meet the same rules that the bidder must meet for their pre-qualified work capacity rating. Two, when a work capacity rating is increased, such as it was here, it's typically by 5 times the amount of the then existing work capacity rating, which was 50 million. So 5 times would have been 250 million, and for some reason OBC approved 500 million. And then the third point being our investigation, which admittedly is not the same level of evaluation as an audited financial report, but does show information all the way through current, which, as members of the board know, we submitted yesterday the most recent contract we found that was for $1.5 billion on a joint venture on building out a Cincinnati, an Amazon part of the Cincinnati airport. So it's all of that to say it's our position that Corman Kokosing was not a responsive bidder at the time it submitted its bid, and secondly, today has a blanket guarantee that is far in excess of what the rules envision. The whole point of the work capacity rating is that this board, the City of Baltimore, ends up with contractors who have the working capital and they have the working capacity to be able to effectively perform the contract. And when you have to take Corman Kokosing and get a $500 million underwriting from its parent company, that should be cause for concern about Corman Kokosing's ability to perform. And the reason we asked for a deferral was because we think the nearly $4 billion of backlog that exists in the Corman Kokosing companies may not have been at the attention of OBC at the time they approved the blanket guarantee. And we just simply suggest with a deferral that the board take a moment to allow OBC to consider that information and DPW to then reevaluate whether it would make this award to Corman Kokosing. In the event the board is not prepared to further defer, we respectfully suggest that the board sustain the protest and supplemental protest and award to American Services. Lastly, it's been pointed out to me that there is a bond here for the $2 million, and we don't disagree with that, and that's very customary in contracting. But the point remains, Baltimore City has work capacity rating requirements, and those must be followed. A bond is great, and a bond would probably cover. But if the city isn't going to follow the work capacity rating requirements and the rules and regulations, then we might as well get rid of those rules and regulations. Otherwise, it would appear to us that this award to Corman Kokosing would be improper. Thank you.
Thank you. A couple of questions for DPW. First and foremost, actually, this is an item that I was putting on our routine a few weeks ago, then it was taken off the agenda for a few weeks. Do you guys believe that they have the work capacity to do this work? Because what my concern is that we know sometimes we have companies and have to come back to this board to re-award because someone didn't have the capacity to do the work and we have to re-award. So this is something that whenever possible, we have to make sure that that doesn't continue to happen. So please let us know how you feel about this company's work capacity.
Mike Mullen with the Law Department, and I have Dina Joyce from OBC here who can also answer further questions. The work capacity is a snapshot in time. We ask for that before a recommendation of award to the board, and what happens then is that the then presumptive winner of the award is a self-reporting form that they fill out, and they are supposed to provide to us under oath the capacity and work that they have outstanding both in the city and outside the city. Then we take that form and we look at it and we decide, do they have the work capacity to meet the contract in question here? In this case, DPW looked at the original submission from Corman Kokosing and said, no, they don't have adequate capacity. So we said to them what we do normally with every bidder, you have a guarantee process that OBC manages and controls by which a parent corporation can provide a corporate guarantee of the greater capacity rating for a subsidiary corporation, which is exactly what happened here. Kokosing Inc., the parent corporation, then submitted a package of materials to the Office of Boards and Commission. Routine, we do this on a fairly regular basis. Office of Boards and Commission took a look at this. They did what they do in terms of reviewing audited financial statements and whatever other information was provided to them, and they concluded that a $500 million corporate guarantee was adequate protection for the city, and then that corporate guarantee was put on the board's agenda in October of 2019 without objection, and it was approved, and so Corman Kokosing has an approved capacity rating of $500 million. Now, Mr. Schultes has talked about the bond and tended to minimize the importance of the bond. Well, from the law department's perspective, it's nice to have the corporate guarantee, and I don't mean to minimize the importance of a corporate guarantee, but what the city really relies on is that performance bond, which is in the full amount of the contract. It's from an independent surety. It doesn't come from the parent corporation or an affiliated corporation. It comes from their surety. Now, the city is an named obligee on that bond. If there is a performance obligation failure on a job for the city, the first thing we do is we go after the bond. We don't play around with the corporate guarantee, which could take years and years to get anywhere. We would immediately pursue the bond. That is the protection to the city. This is a $1.9 million contract. We will be obtaining a bond in the amount of $1.9 million, or they won't get the contract. It's that simple. If they don't provide a bond from a federally registered and licensed surety, we don't award the work. So yes, I believe that the protection to the city is here. To answer your question, President Scott, I believe that the bond is the foremost and primary protection to the city. I believe the $500 million corporate guarantee is valid. I believe that OBC has done what they always do, looked at it carefully, and decided that this was a valid guarantee, and that's why they recommended it to the board previously, and the board approved it and has moved forward. As I said, the work capacity for a company the size of Corman Kokosing is something that changes on a daily basis. When we do our snapshot in time, a week later, they could have fewer contracts or more contracts. That's why the guarantee is not as valuable to the city as that bond. The bond is the gold standard. That's what the board has always relied upon, and I would urge that the board continue to do so.
Madam Comptroller.
Well, my question was why the city should have no concern for awarding this contract. And Mr. Mullen, you answered my question.
I'm sorry, what was your question?
He said that the city should have concern for awarding this contract, but you answered the question for me why we should have no concern.
No, I agree. We should not, I mean, the surety is at this level is a nationally recognized entity, federally registered. So, I mean, and the surety does literally more homework in investigating the financial stability of the company that they're underwriting than the city ever could, because we don't have the capability to do what they do there.
That's correct.
All right, no further. Yes, please. Please state your name again for the record.
Yeah, Joe Godin, I'm one of the owners and Executive Vice President of American Contracting. My main issue here is an issue of fairness. I stood in the same position 12 years ago in 2008 on contract 846, except I was in the position of Corman Kokosing. I was a low bidder on the job. I had a bond. I thought I was going to be awarded the job. My project got thrown out because of work capacity, even though I had a bonding company that would have come in and saved the day if my company went out of business. So I think if my previous contracts are going to be thrown out for the work capacity rule, then you guys should follow the same thing for this project. Otherwise, as my lawyer indicated, there is no point to having work capacity requirement. We should just rely on the bond if that's what we're going to do, because I mean, it is a lot of effort to constantly meet with your work capacity requirements. Every year we have to submit an audit. We have to get a letter of credit, and it's a burden on my business, and if I don't have to do it, and if I don't get the benefit of it, doing all the work to get the work capacity up, and then when I'm in a position to get the benefit of this, it doesn't even happen, yet I still get thrown out 12 years ago on Contract 846. I just don't think that's fair, and I don't think that's just. So that's my position.
Madam Comptroller?
No, he wants to
Oh,
respond.
Mr. Miller?
The issue of 846 was not raised before now, so I'm not prepared to respond to it. But I would say to you that the work capacity ratings and the bonding and the guarantee system that we have in place are important. I'm not trying to minimize the importance of the corporate guarantee in certain circumstances. I mean, many companies, that is their lifeline. They can get a guarantee, and then they can bid on the contract, and they give us a performance bond. In this case, the work capacity is changing all the time because of the size of the bidder that we're talking about. I mean, they have a lot of work across the country. So I'm not suggesting that the whole work capacity system is not important. It is very important. But in this circumstance here, I don't know why the gentleman's contract was thrown out many years ago, but I don't know what the details
Sir.
are. I don't know what the details were, and it wasn't raised by his attorney, so I'm not prepared, OBC's not prepared, DPW is not prepared to address that in detail, and I would just return to what I said earlier. The bond is here. Corman-Kokosing will not get this award unless they can come up with a bond in the full amount of the contract value, and I think that's what the board should look at.
And Mr. Mullen, for the record, you believe the work capacity is there?
I'm sorry?
The work capacity is there for
I
Kokosing?
believe that it is, and I believe that the bond shows that.
Okay, thank you. Madam Solicitor?
Thank you very much. I just want to say it's 2020, and Baltimore has challenges and issues and things that it must do, and one thing it really must do is move forward, and I would not want this board or anyone else in this city to be tethered to something that happened 12 years ago and be caught up in a tit-for-tat exchange. Whatever happened 12 years ago is what happened 12 years ago, but we're here now to make decisions that are important for Baltimore for right now, and that's what we must do.
Thank you.
Mr. President, may I make one
Yes, sir.
additional comment?
State your name again.
Restate your name.
Jeremy Schultes on behalf of American Contracting. We wholeheartedly agree with the board concerning 12 years ago is not as important as what's happening here today. And that's why we're standing here, is because the rules require pre-qualified work capacity rating. And we just heard Mr. Mullen say that you could get a guarantee and bid. That's what should have happened here. Corman-Kokosing should have gotten their increased blanket guarantee and bid. Then we wouldn't be going through this exercise. What may have happened 12 years ago might have been appropriate under the rules if work capacity rating wasn't met. And today, the same thing should happen. If work capacity rating was not met, according to the rules of this city, then Corman-Kokosing should not receive the award, period. That is a function of the agency following its own rules. And in this case, that did not happen. And we would suggest that the appropriate response from the board is to award to American Contracting. Thank you.
If I may, this is Mark Berry on behalf of Corman-Kokosing, and we're sympathetic to the process a contractor goes through. And the OBC's rules are very clear that the capacity rating is not assessed at the time of bid, but it's assessed at the time of award. And there is a process to go and increase the capacity when issues such as this are raised. And that's the process that Corman-Kokosing followed. The original protest from ACES was concerned that Corman-Kokosing only had a $50 million capacity. They raised the question, OBC looked at it, and did their assessment, and they increased it to $500 million. ACES protest, when it was originally filed, said that the capacity rating should have been $167 million, not $50 million. We followed the process in good faith. We complied with all of OBC's rules. OBC's professional analysts looked at it, and they approved a $500 million guarantee, 3 times the rating that the protester said it should have been. We went ahead and followed the process. The protester now says, well, when we originally said it should have been 167 million, we're taking that back. We're saying now it should be, north of $1 billion. And so again, it's a continual process. You look at a snapshot at a time, you follow the process, you get the professional rating from the financial analysts at OBC and the bonding companies, and they're satisfied with the security. And we have a competing bidder who's trying to get the award thrown out so taxpayers can pay an additional $200,000, but they're not financial analysts. They are someone who's interested in getting this work. And we followed the process, and we think that should be upheld.
Thank you. Ma'am?
Good morning. My name is Dina Joyce. I'm with the Office of Boards and Commissions. We did follow our process. Our rules are fair and they are consistent. We had adequate documentation from Corman Kokosing, and we also had the authority to make adjustments on the guarantee. So we did do that, but the process is fair. Everybody has the right to a fair process. And we did follow our rules and the process of the guarantee. We do stand by our decision of what we did. It was a fair process. Thank you.
Thank you. And the process is as important to myself and I know members of the board as it is to everyone here today. And that was the concern that we had. I will entertain a motion.
Mr. President, having heard the very well-argued protest and the well-argued response based on the facts and the history and the demonstration of what happened here, I move to deny the protest and to make the award.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. The motion carries. Before we close, I want to recognize the comptroller who has comment.
All right. Good morning. I would like to address the Planning Department subgrant agreement on page 79 of the routine agenda. This agreement provides resources to help community-based nonprofit groups and neighborhood associations with outreach for the 2020 census. Funding for basic government services such as education, housing, child care and development, transportation, and other key social services will be distributed to the city based on the strength of our census count. The Maryland Philanthropy Network subgrantees will help ensure the traditionally undercounted populations in Baltimore City are educated about the 2020 census and mobilized to participate in it. With Census Day coming up on April the 1st, we need as many partners as possible assisting city agencies in getting a complete count. I strongly support this subgrant agreement, which will make a complete count possible and ensure Baltimore City gets its fair share of funding to support critically important programs. Thank you.
Thank you. As there's no more business before the board, we will recess until bid opening at 12 noon.
The Board of Ethics is now in session for the receiving and opening of bids. In the interest of promoting the order and efficiency of these proceedings, persons who are disruptive to the meeting will be asked to leave the boardroom. Meetings of the Board of Estimates are open to the public for the duration of the meeting. The boardroom must be vacated at the conclusion of the meeting. Failure to comply may result in a charge of trespassing. There are no addenda for today. TR 17302, South Clinton Street Rehabilitation. Sorry. Again, that's TR 17302, South Clinton Street Rehabilitation from Boston Street to Keith Avenue. A bid guarantee is required if the bid is over $100,000. That's what it is to me. R's in here. Back here. Let's see. I didn't see it the first time around. Oh, here it is. Okay, great. J Villa Construction, Inc., with a bid bond. Okay. 36. That cannot be right. I don't have it. It's not written. Okay, thank you. Oh, I didn't get to the end. That's my fault. I didn't get to the end. I thought I had the end. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I thought it was at the end. Thank you. All right. Again, I'm sorry. Again, this is for J Villa Construction, and with the bid bond, the amount is $2,750,000. Thank you. Where's my stuff? This is going to be for you. I think it's in the back. It's back here. Okay. All right. Yep. You're okay. Thank you. Manuel Louise Construction Company, Inc., with a bid bond. $3,243,013.96.
You have it.
Yes, I do. Thank you. E&R Services, Inc., with a bid bond. $2,615,043. Civil Construction, LLC, with a bid bond. $3,818,150. gotta check it and make sure. Yep, in good shape. Potts and Callahan, Inc., with a bid bond. Potts and Callahan, Inc., with a bid bond. $4,808,991. Here it is there. P. Flanagan and Sons Incorporated, with a bid bond. $3,299,833.
And there was a bid bond with that one.
With a bid bond, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
These will all be referred to the Department of Transportation for their review.
Okay. There being no further business, we are adjourned.